Welcome to Tapped In with Tony. I am your host, Tony Bogan. Tonight, we have the creator of FunGameLive, Chris Walker, joins us. Chris, welcome to the program.
How you doing, man? Good to be
Good,
here.
man. Just been watching some baseball. Guardians lost again. So, just been watching some baseball, basketball, stuff like that.
It's still early, early in the year.
Yeah. Can't push the panic button yet.
That's right. That's right. Still gotta wait till it gets really, the real summer weather comes. We just started feeling spring. So, after July 4th, you can start, that's kind of usually my barometer on, when to start taking, baseball seriously as far as the MLB. So
Yeah, and it's the AL Central. It's not like the AL Central's the strongest division in major leagues right now.
right. Right.
And tell us about your background for those who are probably tuning in for the first time.
I'll give you the short version, but I'm originally from here. I graduated from Bedford. I played basketball, soccer, baseball, and football. I went to University of Toledo. I kicked at the University of Toledo. So I played football at the University of Toledo. Played a little club soccer there also. I started Fun Game Sports in 2008, I believe, and it started because I just kind of had a passion. I worked in recreation for a few years. I was sports directors, youth directors at YMCA, Jewish Community Center, and also ran. I was a rec center manager for the city of Cleveland for a while, but and some of that stuff is out of order. But my passion for youth sports and amateur sports has kind of always been a fire that's been inside, and so I developed it. It started with a adult college/pro league that we started at the Jewish Community Center, and it kind of grew, man. It kind of grew from there. We moved the league twice, once to Twinsburg, and then we moved it to the Word Church, where everybody calls it the Word League, where we had, a lot of people remember when LeBron came to play a few times, Kyrie came to play, Tristan Thompson, all those guys came to play. And shortly after I started, the high school league, which actually I started to like a lot more. And so maybe after the second year of the high school league, I decided to let the adult college league go and started to focus on the high school league. And it just kind of blew up after that. So till now we have over 30 teams in it. This is going on, I think this is the 15th year, 16th year that we've done summer basketball programming. And then throughout that time, I've also worked in Cleveland Public Schools, where I've done after school enrichment activities there, and just a whole plethora of things that I've done. And to now, flagship program is our summer program, but I also do events throughout the year. Middle school event in December is another huge one for me. And then we started doing the JV and the freshman events also 2 years ago. Actually, I started the JV event during COVID, because I remember I did it at Brush. There was no fans allowed. I lost a ton of money. Actually, the first 2 years I did it, I lost a ton of money, but it wasn't really about that. I knew it was a need, and we wanted to kind of get it off the ground and get it rolling. So now it's a pretty important part of the business. And then last year, I had my first varsity event during the season, which was at St. V. Which we'll be doing it again this year, and I've added a varsity event onto that. So that's it in a nutshell.
Gotcha. And with that pro league, you had 3 current NBA players. I still see LeBron's a current player despite the most recent announcement. How is that like, having 3 NBA players in that college pro league?
It was a game changer for sure, man. It was the turning point. Although it was already a really successful league, it was definitely a turning point that drew a lot of attention. And what's crazy is the first time he came, LeBron came, we weren't sure if he was going to come like we did. So we really didn't tell anybody. Nobody really knew. So he kind of came, he played, and people kind of trickled in. So like there's footage of when like the first time he came, and there wasn't a whole lot of people there. As like if LeBron's there, you think that the gym is gonna be falling out the seams with people, but there wasn't a lot because nobody really, we kind of kept it a secret. But the second time he came with, he brought Damon Jones, he brought, like, it was kind of a thing. So it was a lot more people, but it was definitely a turning point. It was really exciting for like, even my kids are older now. My oldest son kind of remembers it and all that type of stuff. But yeah, it was good times.
Wow. And speaking of that, you had the talk about the formation of those high school leagues and how does that compare? You said you like the high school leagues better than the pro college leagues. So how did the two compare?
Yeah, so there was a need. So like before we started doing the high school summer league, the summer leagues were, for high schools they were more like open gyms. Like teams would play, they would come, they would, come with their practice, jerseys. Some of them might have had numbers on the back. Some of them may not have. Some of them may have been shirt skin. It was more like an open gym. So I wanted to take the same model that we had in the adult league, which we've had sponsors like the first few years, Chris Chambers, which he's a local guy here who's one of my best friends. He played NFL for a number of years. He sponsored the league the first couple of years, and then Drew Joyce came on and sponsored it. The last, well, actually in the middle, and then Terry Rozier was actually kind of the last sponsor for our league. But then during that time, so Earl Boykins, who's another local guy here, when we started the high school league, kind of approached him and told him we want to kind of do the same things we did with the pro league. Want to have it buttoned up, everybody wearing the same tops. And so it was the Earl Boykins High School League for probably the first, maybe the first 3 or 4 years. And so that's kind of how it started. I just wanted to do something that was a little bit more structured, buttoned up, and it wasn't just like open gym. And so after we did it the first time, like after the first year, I think we had like 8 teams. And right away I knew, I'm like, man, like I like this. Like I like this more than the pro guys because, I named LeBron and Kyrie, those are, the high end, but then there's, some of the colleges that put teams in, and then there are some overseas guys that will come back. And then you got some adults that used to play. They're still really good, but you're dealing with adults. So you're dealing with adult, personalities, refs. It's just a lot that goes into adults, So it was more, so you're dealing with individual personalities when you're dealing with adults in leagues. And with high schools, I'm dealing with the coach. Coach deals with the kids. So it was a more scalable business from that standpoint. So coaches, athletic directors, like that's kind of more my lane. So it was just, it just kind of grew. The first year we had 8. Then right after that, we kind of grew to like 12 or 14. And then it just kind of kept growing. Then as soon as I stopped doing the pro league and could focus on that, that's when it kind of just blew up to over 20 teams and to where we are today. And we've got teams coming from, actually this is the 3rd year. So we got a team coming from Toledo this year. This is their 3rd year coming back. We got a team from Columbus that's coming up. There's been teams from Youngstown have come up, teams from Mansfield. So it's been a mainstay, like I said, for a while.
Yeah, that's especially I saw a couple of the games last year, and some of those teams did go on to make deep runs. Lou West went to the state finals. Maslin Jackson, Walsh Jesuit, all 4 of those teams had deep runs. And you have Hoban also. Hoban is interested. Yep. They're going to be in the league this year. They're the D2 Defang State champs. Buchtel's in it this year. So you've got quite a huge footprint of Ohio schools.
And usually each year, like there's some teams that are, I can pretty much count on that. I know that they're going to be in it. And then there's some teams that, were in it last year and then aren't in it for whatever reason. Either, they may have a lot of kids playing football this year, so they can't, they can't put together, they can't put together teams to play. And then I'll have them next year. So it's always a solid 20 that I know that are coming back. And then there's like a fluctuation of new teams that come that I've never had before. Like this year we're expanding. So this is the first year. So each year we kind of do something like different. Like, so this last year, the difference, what did we do different last year? I think last year we added, we had Sky High and Lamar was on board more. So there was a lot of more content, consistent content. We had Youth Sports Report. That was kind of a part of it. So just kind of adding the youth component. We gave away $500 scholarship for a participant last year that went to Amir from Buchtel. He got the $500 scholarship in conjunction with Flood's restaurant. This year, we're still doing all of that, but we have expanded to the west side. So we're Lutheran West is our west side location. So with that, we're able to track some of those schools that are out west. So Lorraine is going to be in it, Sandusky. St. Ignatius, this is going to be their first year that they're going to be in it. So just each year I try to do, I don't like to be stagnant. We try to do something different if it makes sense. Some of the things I've done in the past, it didn't make sense or it didn't work. So we scrapped it. So that's the thing about business. Got to always be thinking about, what the next thing is, what the best thing is, kind of always taking evaluations. Usually at the end of the year, I send out emails for, all the coaches to evaluate what they liked, what they didn't like. And the only way you grow in business is listening to those things that may not sound good to you, hearing those opinions that, that you might not want to hear. Like, I don't get better by hearing the things that are great. I get better by hearing the things that are not great. And like I said, some of them, make sense. And we work to change. Some, don't, so I just try to keep an open mind to growth and try to continue to, just try to grow and serve the community.
Gotcha. And speaking of your collaboration with Sky High Sports, you guys did a couple series, Catching Up with Coach, where you interviewed a few of the Northeast Ohio high school basketball coaches, and the Beyond the Clout series with Chet Mason, TJ Petros, and Ted Ginn Sr., who just recently got inducted to the Ohio High School Football Hall of Fame. Tell me how that all came together.
It was really, I can't know if it was Lamar's idea or my idea, or we kind of started bouncing stuff around off each other. But I just, maybe a little bit me and a little bit of him. I just wanted to. It wasn't really about interviewing the people. So the people I picked strategically because I wanted to get information to athletes and to parents. So last year I did a little round table prior to my summer league, but it was all Zoom. So I kind of invited coaches to come on, and I had a couple different professionals. I think I had a D3 coach come on, and I kind of asked some questions. I had a strength and conditioning coach that kind of asked a few questions, and then a trainer. So I was just trying to get the information so that's one of the things so I kind of tried, and I had to revamp. So I kind of wanted coaches and parents to come online, and I can kind of ask and interview these couple people, and then parents can kind of ask questions. And it was cool. I didn't get much. I didn't get the participation that I wanted. So kind of thinking this year, I'm like, well, why don't we I just kind of handpick the people. We just interview them. I ask them the questions that I kind of want to ask that I think that are relevant. And we just kind of see how it goes. So, with Chet being a former player here, high school standout, college standout, and even had a cup of coffee in the pros. He had a nice he had a good insight. USA Basketball had good insight on some things on what players need to do to get to where they want to go. TJ's just a deep well of knowledge from the recruiting standpoint, because he's out in the field talking to these coaches. He's seeing players. He's at games, so he has his eyes on a lot of stuff. So I wanted him to talk about how recruiting goes, especially with COVID. And then Ted Ginn Senior was a Lamar thing. That was kind of one of his what do you call it?
Projects.
One of his bucket like so we got that interview, and it was really if you want to call it an interview, I mean, with Ted, Ted, you sit there and listen to him talk.
Ground of knowledge.
Yeah, so those are the three, and then we have plans to do more. There's some other interviews, some other people that I still have on my list. Our schedules, we just haven't had time to do it, but there's still some things I want to do. And you interview them, you put them out there so everybody can see, everybody can go back and watch them when they want to, so I think that worked. I had fun doing it. I always like talking to people. I don't necessarily like talking about stuff, but I like getting other people to talk. So yeah.
Gotcha. And I know it's also with basketball, you've got also a lot of content creators that do basketball, like Lamar, myself, Third Coast Hoops. I know Brandon Borrow, he was the guy who was the coach for the Ohio Georgia Legit Paper Classic that was a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
How big is it to build connects like through all of that as you continue on with the business?
Relationships are the biggest. I mean, I wouldn't say the biggest. There's a lot of components in business, but I would say relationships are very important for any entrepreneur or any business. I mean, even if you're not an entrepreneur, if you're whatever field you're in, and along the way, I've connected and built a lot of phenomenal relationships. Brandon Burrow is one relationship that I have. He's a great guy. Our kids go to school together. We live in the same city, so I know Brandon on a couple different ways. That's another thing. He came on as a sponsor last year. Ray Jr., like, we've known each other for a while. We've worked together. We've done events back in those days. We've done some charity events together back in those days. And actually, it's crazy you mentioned that, because I actually got off the phone with him today, because we're bringing a team up from Georgia for one of our events during the season. So that's actually breaking news. So yeah. So man, just relationships over the years. I always try to tell my kids that, just treat everybody right, because you never know when you never know when you're going to need that person. You never know when that person may need you, or maybe it's not that you needing that person, but you might need that person to speak highly of you to get through a door you may need to go through. So I've kind of held my hat on just building relationships and contacts, and some of them are just associates, some of them lead to other things, and some of them are just good people that you just you see around. So yeah.
Fair enough. And you talked briefly about the JV Classic, the Middle School Classic. Talk about that. I know COVID. Well, I know what you said, you had lost money with the JV Classic with there not being any fans. How else did COVID impact you guys? Because I know 2020, did the Fun Game Classic still happen, or did that not happen till?
Yeah, it was a weird year, man. Like, I think anybody with a business had to pivot. So 2020 there was no summer league. There was no summer league because we couldn't get into any gym. So what happened is that we didn't do a summer league, but as soon as we could get in gyms, which were like maybe November, since they didn't have a summer league, I started doing scrimmage events. So I'm like, man, people just want to get in the gyms. I want to get in the gym. I'm thirsty. So I did a scrimmage event at CVCA. That was actually the first event ever at CVCA that I did. And so we did one there, and then we did maybe I did both of them there. I might have did both of them there. So I did 2 scrimmage events. I mean, it was no chart. Like, I didn't make any money. It was just like, hey, had the teams cover the ref fees, and then I just kind of went. I paid for the facility, and that was just that. Then in the December, I did have my middle school event, but it was tough, and it was at CVCA because, again, they were the only one. Nobody else's facilities were open to use yet. So I did it there, ran fine. It wasn't as big because the teams dropped out. Back then, one kid got COVID on the team. Nobody could play. So going through that, plugged away, did okay there. Then the JV event was at Brush, actually at Memorial Middle School. I think I had 8 teams. I got the facility. There was no fans. I paid for 2 DJs to be there just to get the energy, because there's no fans, there's no nothing, just to have energy there. So I paid for 2 DJs, paid for the building. It was just, but like in business, you sometimes you got to invest in you blindly, So did that the first year. Then by the time 2021 rolled around, things kind of freed up a little bit. Summer League was back. I stayed out at CVCA and then also used Garfield and Warrensville. So kind of got that ball rolling. Then heading into, I did my middle school thing again in 2021. And then one more time I did the JV event at Brush. And then that was kind of, the things kind of got rolling in. So last year was the first year I didn't do it at Brush. I did, and then I added freshmen, so it was JV and freshmen. I did it at Warrensville, and it was the biggest year for that. It went really well.
Gotcha. Yeah. And you mentioned the varsity. You did the first time you did a varsity event at St. Vincent St. Mary. Talk about how that came together.
Yeah, so that's another collaboration. With Paul Ross, who he is it's going to kill me if I get this wrong. Whatever the girls on the girls side is called GB. I don't know. You probably know this, Tony. Is G. It's, I forgot what it is, but it's on the girl. So Paul's on the girl side heavy. I mean, he does
promoter.
No, he does pictures. So you probably seen
photographer, content creator.
Yeah. Well, he's not a content creator. He's more like a mix between a content creator and Petros. So he writes, he does a little bit, but everything. But anyway, me and Paul kind of came together. He knows all the ends on the girl side. I kind of have, connections on the boy side. So we came together to do an event at St. V. We had 2 girls games, 2 boys games. It was kind of a East versus West thing where we brought teams from the Toledo area to play teams from this area. And so we had Ottawa Glandorf came from Toledo, which they were in the Final Four, I think. We had Toledo Central Catholic, who they had a D1 guy, but he had got hurt, so he didn't play. And there was one other team I can't remember. No, Toledo Central Catholic. There's another team I can't remember from Toledo that came. Oh, and Emmanuel Christian with Jerry Easter. So no, that was a huge event. Huge event, really buttoned up. We did some things that nobody really does around here, as far as making sure the kids eat, coaches. Like it was just really buttoned up. We did a really nice job with that. So that was the first time of that. We'll be doing it again. It's December 9th this year. And then I collaborated, another collaboration with TNBA this year. So Summer League 2 is a collaboration with TNBA also. But so Paul's event, collaboration, I've known Paul since we were in first or second grade. Our paths kind of came around again. We collaborated. TNBA, I've known Shane and Jermaine and those guys from my JCC days, and actually TNBA was strategic in planting the seed in my mind about FunGameSportz, because at the time I was the athletic director there. I saw them come in, and they were really like what they are now. They weren't then. Like, they didn't have AAU teams back then. I think it was just training and camps. They just did training, and I used to see what they do, and I'm like, man, like I can do this on my own. So, but develop those relationships then, and that was, like I said, that was back in 2008. So full circle, now we're collaborating. My sons played for TNBA, so I know those guys are really good. So like everything I do now is, you can only do so much by yourself. To grow, you got to collaborate. So, and I do business with good people. Like, I don't have to collaborate. I don't have to, like, if it makes sense and with good people, like, so I'm a big character person. Like, there's a lot of people that have asked me to do a lot of things over, especially the last 5 or 6 years, that I've turned down, because it may not have been a character thing. It's just at this point in my career, I know how to say no, or no thank you, not rudely, but I kind of have a path and a vision on where I want to be and what I'm doing. And so, like, if it varies, or if it strays too far left or right, and if it's not, I know how to say, I'm good, and I'm okay with that. Now, in the beginning, not so much. I wanted to get every breadcrumb, every opportunity. I'm here, I'm there, I'm doing this event, I'm doing that event. Because I'm trying to figure it out, just throwing darts. But now I'm okay. I'm okay with saying, like, no, not for me. Or, you know what? I know a person that you might need to call for that. And I've done that before. So, yeah.
Gotcha. And to say you had 2 kids who play for TNBA, your oldest son is going to be playing college baseball. It's like, how do you balance that? You run Fun Game, and then you're watching Chris play as Solon with basketball, baseball.
Yeah, so I got many hats, man. I do that. I'm doing a little overseeing, the rec department, trying to help Warrensville, kind of grow the rec department over there. I also have my people know me as Gatorade Chris. So I have my, working with Gatorade. So, and then trying to be a dad, man, and trying to balance it all, which I don't always do a great job of. But I try my best. But yeah, Caleb is a senior. He actually, his graduation is Thursday. Unfortunately, he played his last high school baseball game last Thursday. They lost to Austin Fitch 2-1 by 3 bunts in the first inning. It was painful to watch. But he had a really good season. He's been playing varsity baseball and varsity basketball since he was in the 10th grade. Which is a huge accomplishment. This year he probably had his best basketball year his junior year, but his best baseball year was this year. He kind of had a breakout season a little bit for his team. He got defensive MVP for his team. And he did some really good, did some things, hitting that he hadn't done I think the game's slowing down for him a little bit. So a lot of things to build on moving forward to college for sure.
Gotcha. And what's the future look like for FunGameLive?
Well, that's a great question, Tony, because I was actually, I go through different phases where, sometime I'm in grind mode, my grind phase, other times I'm in my settled and just kind of working. Other times I'm in my thinking, like I'm in my creative mode. And then the stage I'm in now is doing a lot of meditating and praying, man, because I don't know how to answer that question right now. I don't know how to answer that question. This is a little different, and it's crazy because I was just telling one of my best friends this today. This is a different feeling going into this summer. I'm not saying I'm not excited, which I am always excited, but it's different. I haven't done a lot of promotion for the summer league. I haven't been on social media. I haven't done a whole lot of that this year, and I don't know if it's because with my son graduating, a lot of my energy has been, to him and kind of thinking about making sure he's good before he leaves, and so there's a lot of things I've been juggling. So as far as the business, that I'm really, like I said, I've really been thinking and meditating on what is the next step. I have some things that have been on the back burner in my brain and my mind. I've had some meetings in the last, I'd say 4 months for some things that really sparked my interest on growth as far as my business and some things. And like I said, every meeting I don't take, every idea I don't take, but some things really spark my interest. So I have a couple things that I still have in here that I'm not ready to articulate just yet, but probably, heading into 2024, I will probably be able to answer that question a lot more clearly, for sure.
Gotcha. And I totally understand because I'm that way too, as someone who does content creation, got ideas on the back burner. It's like, do I want to do this? What route do I want to go? Where do I want to go with this? I totally understand where you're coming from.
So Tony, let me ask you a question. So where's your love? Is it basketball? Is it baseball? I know you're one of the few guys that covers baseball, which is nice. I mean, where are you from, this area?
I am actually, I used to work in Solon, strangely enough. I'm
Oh,
originally from Shaker Heights. I used to work in Solon.
okay.
Worked at a place called Market District in Solon.
Oh yeah.
I'm familiar with the area. Basically I like baseball. Like I do basketball, football. Recently did girls lacrosse for Keon Sports. But I also baseball is a niche that I like to try to carve a path into because not a lot of people like on the content side do baseball because for some it's not an exciting sport. You
Mhm.
definitely have to have patience. And with the weather in Ohio, it could be 80 one day, 40 the next.
There's no guarantee you can plan on going to this game this day and then it's snowed out. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I got to just pick and choose my games because I work a normal job. So can't always just go to a 5 o'clock game. I could probably catch a 6 or 7 o'clock game if I'm lucky. But I just like, that's why I carve my niche out with baseball because, a lot of creators do basketball and football because that's where the views are. But
Yeah,
baseball, there's a lot of talent in the Northeast Ohio area that, you know, gets overlooked.
for sure. For sure.
And
Absolutely.
lastly, where can people go find out more? And do you have just any advice in just in general before we wrap up?
No, I mean, you can find me at Twitter at FunGameLive, Instagram FunGameLive, website FunGameSports.com. Like I said, Summer League starts May 30th at CVCA. So practically Tuesdays will be at CVCA for the first 2 weeks, and then Thursdays will be at Lutheran West. The schedule, you can find the schedule on the FunGameLive app. You can find the schedule, and I don't know, man. I just, for any of the athletes that are watching, I would just tell them to make sure, if you're a freshman or a sophomore, make sure that you are taking care of what you got to take care of in the classroom, because recruiting is, if you desire to play a college sport, that will separate you from guys that have your same ability, because that's going to play into how much money you get, and just your marketability as an athlete. And for those guys who are maybe juniors or seniors who haven't gotten the looks they want, just keep grinding. The path is different. Now. Like, recruiting is different. I mean, going right to a 4-year college might not be the path right now. Maybe going to a prep school, maybe going to a JUCO, whatever. Like, there's different paths. But the consistency is gonna be the thing that gets you there. And for all the content creators and guys, man, keep doing your thing, and just build relationships. Like, even though there's a lot of guys that are doing this, it's, because basketball is really saturated with a lot of guys covering content, I would just say there's only one you. There's only one you. Even though you're creating content, do it different. Throw a different twist on it. Think differently. Be creative. I mean, you're creative, so be creative. So that would be, I don't know, that'd be a thing I'd leave you with.
That's great advice. Thank you for coming on the show. And for those of you that are watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. And Tapped In with Tony is also available on Spotify and most streaming services. Thank you guys for listening.